Sex, porn, love addiction is all about self-soothing to manage your emotions. It got set up back in the childhood development years. It's just not about sex. It's not about porn. It's all about the repeated use has set up the physiology to crave those dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, self-manufactured drugs in the body. It's impacting women, men, children aged 10 to 75 across all the age ranges, the sexes, the cultures, the professions. It increased exponentially during COVID lockdown and impacting so many lives. The Kairos Center has created the first online comprehensive sex, porn, love addiction. It's a video on demand recovery program which you can access from anywhere in the world and begin to see identifiable changes just within 6 weeks of beginning this weekly program. Kairos means your appointed time. Isn't it your time to reclaim your life? Bring colour back to life without shame. Click the link below and begin your journey. You owe it to yourself and to others. I want you to understand something about a feeling state. A feeling state is, I use my fingers to do this, when I feel out of sorts, want to reward myself, I then do a particular behaviour. Feel, do the behaviour. You see, this is all about Cognitive Behavioural Therapy, CBT. I hope you've come across that term. Whatever I am habitually, regularly thinking about throughout my day, the cognitive, that absolutely will go on to become the behaviour I go and act upon. That's what CBT is. Cognitive becomes the behaviour, CBT. So much of this program, which is based upon the model of counselling of CBT, is about challenging your thinking, your cognitive, that which you've allowed to be played with in your thoughts throughout the day. Even the undercurrent, as you get on with your day's work, there's this undercurrent of thinking. That undercurrent of thinking, things you're playing with in your thoughts, will categorically become the behaviour. So right at the beginning of this program, what we need to do is challenge your thinking in order to affect your behaviour. And the tools I'm going to give you also then go on to deal with the behaviour. But it's not behaviour first. Are you getting this? It's the cognitive, it's the thinking that comes first, that we need to go after first. Not the behaviour, the thinking. And so the feeling state is going to have something going on in your mind, in your thinking. I feel, and so I'm thinking certain things. And with feeling, I go on to do a behaviour. Feeling, behaviour. And what happens is, when I feel and then I do a behaviour, the two then get paired up so that you're now creating, by repeatedly feel, do, feel, do, feel, do, feel, do, pairing up those two things now creates what we call the neural pathway. A neural pathway is a repeated pattern of behaviour that over time means, I call it the hamster wheel effect, essentially. When I feel, this is what I do. When I feel, this is what I do. When I feel. So actually, feeling, which is a part of the brain called the limbic brain, the emotional brain, doesn't involve logic and reasoning. This part of the brain, the frontal lobe, the cerebral cortex, is the logical reasoning brain. The problem with porn, sex, love addiction is that when you continually, when you're thinking throughout the day, cognitively, thinking about the particular behaviour that you know you shouldn't do, but you're intending to do it, it's actually secreting, you could call it a low dose of those really potent chemicals, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. And that drip feed is what is going to set you up for hours later, days later, you go on to act out. Your acting out does not come out of nowhere. And therefore it's really important that you recognise your feeling is taking place in this part of towards the midbrain, the limbic system, which is all about emotions. When I feel, I want to do. When I feel, I want to do. And logic is offline. So the small dose of serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin that's drip feeding because of your thinking, fantasizing through the day, is going to take your logical reasoning frontal lobe part of the brain offline. And then you're making decisions based upon emotions and feelings. Is this making some sort of sense to you? And so feeling with behaviour gets paired up, and you just keep on keeping on doing the repeated behaviours. And the problem is you're not doing it from a logical reasoning place. So when the bubble bursts, often, pun, I guess it is a pun, the best part isn't the ejaculation, isn't the orgasm, it's the chase. So when the bubble bursts and you're back into reality, the frontal lobe, logical brain, now comes back online. Shame and guilt kicks in and wants to question, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Well, you're asking a logical question of the brain where the logical side of your brain was actually offline. So it can't answer the question, why did you do that? Because it was offline. You were working purely from the feeling brain. And the feeling brain said, this is lush, this is nice, let's do this. Does that make sense? And so I need you to understand this thing about feeling state so that logical decisions about I'm not going to do this can get taken offline and you're just working from the feeling brain. That's often why the fight is so hard, because you're not coming at it from a logical place. The emotions are so powerful from the biochemicals, which are so powerful. Let me digress a little. We know from experiments that those who have injected illegal drugs into their bodies, a particular part of the brain under an MRI scan is lit up, showing the euphoria that's taking place in the brain from the illegal drugs in the brain. That experiment repeated on somebody's brain where they've been acting out. We'll come on to acting out in a minute, but whatever the acting out behaviour is, viewing porn, sexting, prostitution, all of those behaviours, typically, let's say they've been viewing porn for a number of hours. You put that brain under an MRI scan, exactly the same part of the brain is lit up, showing the euphoria from the porn, as was lit up in the person's brain who had illegal drugs. You don't need me to explain what I'm saying out of that, but let me tell you. The potent biochemicals that are self-manufactured and secreted into your brain from your own body, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, adrenaline, they are so potent that they are as potent as illegal drugs. Every now and then I say to a client, look, I'm about to shoot you between the eyes with a comment that is really quite stark and in your face. So I'm going to do that right now. You're a drug addict. Does that make sense? Of course you're not addicted to street drugs. You become addicted to those self-manufactured biochemicals in your body that you hadn't become aware of. You didn't know that. You weren't aware of that. So when you've been trying to fight back to say, no, I'm not doing this, no, I'm not doing this, no, I'm not doing this, and you've used, I call it the white knuckle effect, where you hold on to the sides of the seat and you say, no, I'm not doing this, no, I'm not doing this. Well, that's good, and it can last you so long, but it ain't going to take you through the days and the weeks of sobriety. We'll make use of the white knuckling for a while, but you'll need to supplement it with some extra tools. Can you see that?